Yeah, I mean, you're a true professional.
at,
All right, well, great. Well, I'm gonna
at
jump right
least I
into
know the
it.
lighting.
Yeah, so Blake, it's so good to finally chat with you about everything. Art, photography. Um, I definitely have a scatterbrain and I go all over the place, but today I'm really gonna try to stay focused on the new book, Construction Nudes, 1981 and 1985.
And here's the copy of it.
Oh, it's so beautiful because I also am
Yeah,
gonna one up you.
yeah. It's really it's a different book for me. Oh, you have it.
How did
That's
I
great.
like I'm very tactile person and I really like the way it feels, which is such a strange comment. But the
No,
outside
not
has
at
a
all.
very cool
Yeah, not
cover.
at all because this book is feels very handcrafted,
Yeah.
and it has the inset photo, and all my other books had the traditional dust jacket, like the paper cover.
Yeah.
So yeah, this book has a really nice handcrafted quality to it.
Yeah. So in your of course in Palm Springs, is has the weather is it hot as balls already there?
Yeah,
Excuse
it's
my
hot already.
French.
In the last
Yeah.
in the last week, it's been hot.
Got it. Got it. Got
So
it.
um,
Are you working on any
but
projects right now?
yeah, I have several things. I'm doing more nudes, and
Okay.
I'm not sure where that's headed exactly, but photographing a lot of couples,
Yeah.
and so that's interesting me right now. Like
Nice. Nice. Nice.
different different relationships.
Got it.
Um,
Well, I'll jump back
try,
into that later. I just kind of threw that out there because I know you're always working, and I think you've always
yeah,
been working and taking pictures for like 40 years,
yeah,
give or
40
take.
years, at
Yeah,
least 40 years.
yeah, and that's sort of amazing. Um, and that was the question I'm gonna just ask first about the book Construction Nudes in 1981, 85, because those are the years you took the photographs, right? 81 to 85
Yeah, yeah.
in Los Angeles in abandoned buildings. Um, And so my question was, why did you decide to publish the book like now in 2025?
Right. Well, the pictures were taken in construction sites, and I've always been fascinated by architecture. And at that time, I was actually when in school. I studied architecture a lot, and so when I came to LA, there was all this construction going on, and so I was fascinated by the buildings, and I found my way, through sneaking into the building basically, and checking out the interiors of these construction sites. And my first thought was to just photograph the building themselves, but um, the environments that I found
Yeah,
were so special and unique and beautiful and unusual that I felt like I had to bring models back there to photograph them.
oh, that's great. I wasn't sure if you actually scouted out the buildings first, or you literally were like, you had a model or two, and then you just were like, all as a group, like snuck into these buildings in the
No, it was very planned because
yeah.
I had to know my way in, I had to know kind of where I was photographing, and really have a plan down because uh, it was there were usually no guards there when I was there, but there were a few times where there was actually a guard on site at the other part of the building. But anyway, yeah, everything was very planned out and very organized and strategized in terms of like how I uh, got into the building. My ideas about where I was going to photograph was all scattered out ahead of time.
Yeah, that's nice. Sort of like I like the environment and the architectures, everything in the buildings that I've seen in the book is like hard and like dirt, and then you bring in a lot of these like, for lack of better words, pretty models, like beautiful soft skin and sort of like soft against the hard backgrounds. And I always like that sort of dichotomy of like in rock and roll music, like leather and lace. And that's
Right.
where your picture sort of like really soft, gentle human skin against like really hard construction backgrounds.
Yeah, definitely. that contrast of the bodies against the hard surfaces and the dirt, concrete, rebar, um, and then just placing them into those environments was exciting for me, visually, to have
Yeah.
the figure in the architectural space. So,
And like, since the pictures are taken so long ago, um, what medium, like you had these stored in like archives and that kind of stuff, like how were they stored and preserved over the years then for you to like now come back to them and be able to like replicate them and produce them into a book? Because there's such beautiful, like exquisite pictures, and like technology has changed over the years. So I just was curious, like the technology had the 80s, were they slides or
no, there half the pictures were a 4x5 camera,
okay.
which is the camera that you see where people put up. You've probably seen it on in film or television or
Yeah.
whatever, where people put the cloth over your head, and so it's large format camera, um, and then you actually have a film canister that goes into the camera, and you can only take two photographs back and front of each canister.
Oh
So
geez.
yeah, they're all analog, of course, because it was the '80s. There was no digital photography,
Yeah.
and but half the pictures are 4x5, and then also 35 millimeter and 120 format. So I was really experimenting with the different cameras, but also sometimes the situation where we were photographing required me to use a smaller camera.
Right.
So like when I did the picture of Armando on the 14th floor um, of the building on Wilshire, there was really no way that I could carry that large camera all the way up there. So we used 35 millimeter.
Yeah, that's the thing about these sort of like running into these empty buildings with cameras, equipment, models. It was like almost this guerrilla photo shoot type thing, and like I guess that's a working model because they're going to be carrying their stuff with them, with you, um, and like the lighting and stuff like that. And also with the technology back then, you had to be so much more specific about your time and like the amount of photos you take. Like I take like 40, 50 pictures a day of like things, and now we can just go through them and throw them all away and choose them. But like with their analog film and actually film, you had to be so much more careful and thoughtful, I feel like, about every shot. Did you feel like the pressure of like every shot had to be almost perfect because you only had these smaller chances to get it because we don't have didn't have digital back then?
Yeah, I think when you look at the photographs, you can see um, that they feel deliberate
Hmm.
in where the model is placed, uh, the composition. But then within that, I would vary it. So I would set up the camera in a very specific cropping, but then move the model around, and have the model do different things within that space. But yeah, you're right. The 4x5 camera, I probably had 40 pictures to take with that camera.
Jesus, that stresses me out because you had to get that shot. And also, I remember from your talk in Palm Springs, you just used natural light, right? You didn't bring in all sorts of like light equipment and that kind of
Actually,
stuff.
with this, yeah, no, sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
with this one, uh, a lot of the pictures I used one light.
Okay.
So I had one light. Um, and the light wasn't that powerful, so you don't really see it in a lot of the photographs.
Oh my
Um,
Jesus,
but
that's a
I did
cat
use
goose.
did use a light, and not always, but sometimes. I would say 3/4 of the time I was using that light.
That's funny. Did you, because you were sneaking in the buildings, did you ever have like bring in a watchman? Someone to like just sit there and like their job was to make sure there wasn't going to be able to anybody walking in on these like naked men just like thrown over rocks and everything. You needed like an eye to watch out for you guys.
Yeah, it was the '80s. Nobody cared.
I guess you would have been caught for trespassing and like indecent exposure. I'm trying to think of all the charges that might have come your way if you were busted.
yeah, it's a little, I was 23, I was 24.
Yeah, that's
I
the
didn't really,
excitement of it all.
and the models were my friends or,
Yeah,
people I knew from the gym and stuff. So they were all in. They weren't really, I
they knew
think
what they
about,
were getting into.
yeah, they knew what they're getting into, but I just think there was, I don't know. I don't know if we were naive or young or whatever, but my memory doesn't really, you know, uh, focus on the danger of it
Yeah,
or that it was illegal or that it was, I just was compelled to do these pictures. And uh,
yeah,
that's kind of just, there wasn't really anything stopping me in terms of like, once I realized how amazing they were and what I was doing.
sure,
At
sure.
least that's how I felt about it. That it really you know, didn't really didn't really stop me from uh,
Yeah.
thinking too much about any
You
consequences.
told all your models to bring running shoes. They're like, what attire should I bring? You're like, running shoes. Climbing boots, rope swings. You had to climb out of there. Um, so the models you found at that time, you said they were like friends from the gym or people you knew. Um, is do you find it today as easy to find models as you did back then? Because now there's social media and there's the internet and like everything's online. And back then things were sort of underground and like word of mouth. And I feel like now people are a little more skeptical about getting nude in front of the camera because they're like, they know it's forever and it's going to be out there on the internet. And I was just curious over the years, like from the time you filmed this book till now, if there's been a shift in like being able to find models that consent to put their work out to the world.
I actually think it's the opposite.
Oh yeah.
I think it's easier now. And the reason I say that is um, so many people take selfies of themselves, um, some nude or definitely uh, semi-nude.
Yeah.
And with social media, I find a lot of the models on social media and through friends and friends of friends and people that I meet. But through social media, I can look at someone's profile and the picture that they've taken, and that's kind of how I get inspired by what I see in what they reveal about themselves, or what attracts me to wanting to photograph them. And I also think now, of course, we're in this really fucked up time with um, the conservatism that's going on. But in
Yeah.
general, I think people don't really even care about nudity. I mean,
Yeah.
I know people now that have OnlyFans pages, and they also have professional jobs. So
Yeah.
it, there's kind of this like dichotomy or split between people not even caring, and then this kind of crazy conservative time that 40% of the
Yeah.
country seems to be in.
Yeah. It's a funny time too because I follow a lot of people, of course, online. A lot of them are like only fan um, content creators. I try to be careful about the words. I was going to say porn stars, OnlyFans porn stars, or but I see people doing so well with it, and it's like sort of like claiming their own sort of like image and body and brand. And someone that I follow yesterday just was like, he's sort of new to the adult content creating world. Was like, I just quit my real job and now I'm going full time adult content creator. And he does mostly just nude photographs of himself. And he's like, I'm going to travel the world and this job's like portable. I'm going to take it with me. And I was like, Jesus, these days things are different than they used to be.
Yeah, there's definitely opportunity. I don't know how hard or difficult it is to really get established with that, but there's definitely
Yeah.
people are doing it.
It's a tangent. I just went off on a tangent. That's how I am. I gotta put on my horse blinders and I come back
No problem.
into the book. So at that time, were you always shooting in black and white? Do you think black and white added to the elements of the photographs at all in these job sites?
Um, the when I was doing the pictures, it was the beginning, or sort of the beginning of what kind of call a renaissance of black and white male nude photography. Um, People like Mapplethorpe, Herb Ritz, uh, people were there was kind of a renaissance of male imagery, and in terms of like black and white versus color, when I back then when I thought of fine art photography, I thought of only of black and white.
Yeah, I think of like
Yeah,
Ansel Adams from my younger days. That's like what I immediately think
right.
of.
Whenever I was taking pictures for myself for my fine artwork, it was back then was always black and white.
Yeah.
And now, now it's changed. I really, and also with digital, you're still shooting, even if you're shooting black and white, you shoot in color and then you convert it. So you always have the color if you're shooting digital.
That is sort of
So
true. And so you, for most of your career, like nude male physiques has been like your subject. I was sort of curious out of all the years how you keep it feeling fresh and feeling excited about photographing like nude men, like what keeps you going? Because the male form has always stayed the same. I could look at it all day, all night. It was beautiful in the 40s, the 60s, the 70s. I just was curious what like maybe inspires you to keep like
um,
photographing nude men, males.
hmm.
I like to ask 40 questions wound up
I
in
know
one.
it's a good question. I still love creating pictures, making art, and
Yeah.
I'm an artist, so um, and
Have
I
you ever
love
veered
man.
away from the male image and like been a landscape architect, photographer, or taking pictures
Oh
of
yeah,
fruit baskets or
oh yeah.
wildlife?
I have many projects that I've done. I
Yeah.
have. I'm working on uh, a landscape project now that's based on man's effect on the desert.
Oh, that's
So that's my Coachella Valley anthropogenic project, which is you can see some of the pictures on my website.
okay. That you can
Um,
find all this on your website. Okay, good.
yeah, and then I've done many different LGBTQ plus community photo projects. I did
Gotcha.
a series called Fluid with his trans non-binary series that I did in LA and then also in three different cities in Canada. And that exhibition was shown in Canada at three different colleges. And then I did a whole series on uh, LGBTQ plus gun owners
Okay.
in
I saw
response
that one for sure.
to the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it's not all male nudes.
I'm laughing also because we talked prior to this and I was like, I'm gonna throw you a bunch of like questions that I'll probably ask just so you can like see them first. And right now I'm like not even asking any of those questions. I'm just making shit up off the fly.
Well, that's good. Makes for a better interview, right?
I know, I'm sorry. I was like, oh shit, I'm just making this stuff
Well,
up. I have some stuff that we talked about, but in general, I'm just
and now I can't give you like canned answers.
no, you can. You can. Um, And you also did the one photo series that's just coming out of my brain that you did a while ago with all the guys covered in honey or people. Was it honey?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was one. I think that was, well, I've seen you work for a while, but that one really, just for some reason, sticks out in my mind because it like provokes curiosity first of like, what's happening here? What is the material? And then I start thinking about the photographs and the relationships with the people. And I don't know. That one sort of evoked a lot of different sort of like feelings or emotion from me for some reason.
Well, that's my preservation series.
Yeah.
Um, because for me, the honey kind of preserve the people in amber, like you see an insect preserved
Yeah.
in amber. And I photographed 65 different people for that series.
That
And
was
yeah, and that series went viral all over the world. So if you Google me, my name, that usually comes up first.
yeah. Have you ever covered yourself in honey or
No,
just the
no,
subject? Is that
there
fair?
was not
Is
enough
that
time,
fair?
not enough time to
All
cover myself in honey.
right, I just didn't know. I was like, I just want to make sure if you had to like sometimes when you have an idea about the photograph, the project, you have to get in character and feel it. So
Yeah, nope, not that.
okay, here's a question. Over the years, I've shared photographs of artists, and there's always been sort of a thin line, I feel like, between like erotic art, sensual art, like nude art, and like porn. So I was sort of curious if like on the website that I used to post a lot more about, I feel like people that were putting out like music and art projects sometimes were a little hesitant because they saw that I posted photographs from photographers um, of like sexual content, like photographs where like perhaps the model had like a boner. So they thought, so in their mind, they're like, oh, if the photo series is someone with a boner, that's porn. And then my site must be a porn site. So they didn't want to be associated with it. And so, like, the fine line between like porn, erotic art, sensual art, like, what would you categorize your art as?
I,
Whoa.
I don't know if I've ever really thought of categorizing
Or,
it,
yeah, just
but I think
like sensual,
uh,
intimate.
I I I have a really broad definition of what I think is erotic.
Yeah, okay.
So
You could post a picture of a balloon and someone
I
might think
could
that's
post a
erotic.
picture of I could post a picture of the close up of a guy's beard and think
Yeah.
that's erotic,
Or like an earlobe
or the back of a man's neck.
or his toe or
Yeah, I mean
okay.
we all have what you know could be erotic. Um, so
I
yeah,
didn't
I
know if
mean,
there's any stigma around like someone feeling like a what is that question? Like for other photographers having like stigma around like, oh, you're like you shoot nude male, so I don't take you as serious as like a real photographer because you're just like a pornographer.
well,
Whoa,
I hope that I've taken it
those are not my feelings too. Because
past that. In other
yeah,
words, you really have to get past that because um, I don't think my photographs are pornographic, and
right,
I don't even think they're sexual.
right,
Um, because what I'm interested in with all of my photography, whether it's uh, if it's a portrait of someone, a figure study, or you know, photographing, just the figure without concentrating on the face in an environment is one thing. But if I'm doing a portrait, I'm interested in the connection with the model.
mm,
I'm interested in um, how that person reveals themselves to me and to the viewer and to the camera. And so when you look at the portrait of that person, they're revealing something about themselves.
sure,
To me, that's what's erotic or
yeah, like sort of like an intimacy
right.
on a different level. And also, like I, especially in your book, the construction nudes, like they're intimacy almost with the environment, like just like the connection of like the models. I have your book in here. I just looked at it a lot this morning, and just the curves of the bottles and how they're sort of like strategically placed. I don't know if that was a big part of your role as a photographer, like strategically putting people and like moving them in the position exactly how you wanted, or do you just let the model just
No,
model?
I'm
Because
I'm
that was one thing in the book I noticed. Like it really had a nice relationship with like the background.
yeah, I mean, I'm very specific about the way I direct the models. Sometimes some they'll do something on their own that I like, but even when I take portraits, I give, if anything, too much direction.
Got it.
So I know what I'm looking for. I respond to the person that I'm photographing, but at the same time, I have a really strong idea of what I'm looking for. And with with construction with the construction nudes pictures, I had an even more specific idea because it was the figure in space, in figure in architecture, and so I wasn't necessarily looking for a real subtle change in their expression, but more how they were positioned and related to related to the architecture, to the background.
That
So,
makes sense. Because
and then also like we talked about before, I have not that many pictures to take, so I have to be more precise.
yeah,
So
I
yeah,
think of like sometimes when I think of photography, like fashion photo shoots, where like you see on TV and like the TV shows and stuff, and the photographer's like pose, 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 pose. It's a very different setup and environment with your photography. It's feel like it's more of like I don't know. I keep coming back to the word intimate, but I keep thinking of the photography I see on like TV shows, and they're like pose, pose, pose. There's flashes, choo, choo, and every 3 seconds you want the person to move, and
yeah. I when I did my first male portrait book, Company of Men, it was kind of a response um, against that.
okay,
In other words, I just wanted the person to be there and reveal themselves to me,
yeah.
not to project something that they think they're supposed to project.
Got it.
You know,
Yeah, they go
almost
like they go into
almost
like
to
a
the point of boring.
yeah.
But
That's
at the
I
same
think
but at the same time, there's something about the figure in the space and how they're relating to the camera that reveals for me so much about them.
that's funny. I love that you said it like almost to the point of boring because that's like so fascinating. Because I know that book and I've gone through it, and I think I've seen a lot of the images from that book. Either you posted or it's been reposted or like
Right.
blogs and websites have shared, and the men are always just like ooh ha la la, like my type exactly. But they're just like you were step out of a gas station in like the Midwest, and there's just a guy standing there waiting for his gas to pump, and like you get him, and just like he's not posing, he's just like in his own skin, standing there. I don't know. It feels very natural and like almost to the point of boring because it feels very real. Like you're just like capturing real life as it happens, and I really
Yeah.
felt that in like the company of men, no
Yeah.
company
Yeah.
series, and the men are just fucking hot. So
Yeah, that was my intention. And also
yeah.
with that book, it was done in 2005, and so I was uh, looking to show an alternative to the gay stereotype.
Right, right. I feel
And
like
now
time.
everything's changed now, and
Yeah, sure,
we
sure.
don't we don't we have a really broad view of what LGBTQ plus,
Yeah.
what gay means or what gay looks like. But even in 2005 when I started it wasn't really like that. So that was another like intention
Yeah. Another
for the
error. I could see people like to get mad at everything, especially now with like pronouns. I support everybody in what they want to be called, and the conversation keeps moving. But I feel like and the company of men, I feel like some people could look at that and be like, is this book just all about toxic masculinity? Because it is a very masculine look. I don't know. That's more of an observation than actually like a question. But I know things from 2000, I'm sorry, 2005 to now has changed, and people are very sensitive and very critical of artists and things like that, toxic masculinity. Um, what is your thought on that, Blake?
Um,
You can also say pass, Mike. That was
no,
ridiculous.
it's not good to pass because, uh, yeah, I think that now
Like the guys in that
there's a
book look
movement
mask.
there's a movement away from acceptance of masculinity, and
Got it.
I think that we are questioning masculinity
Gotcha.
and what's what's acceptable or not acceptable, and what is uh, yeah, what's acceptable or not acceptable, and
Yeah, I enjoy the questions, you know what I mean, about that and people talking about it, but it's sort of funny like when I do see things or people claiming things to be like masculine or like macho or manly, those are things now within the conversation of the LGBTQ community that are being discussed and like redefined. And a lot of times I do find myself personally being attracted to things that are like macho or like masculine. But I don't think I could even say that because I feel like that is sounds like toxic masculinity or something. Like so I guess I just curious to the world out there, how can one be or claim or say they like masculine men or macho men and not sound toxic?
I mean, I think many of us like masculine men. I love
Yeah,
masculine men. So, but what is masculine and what's acceptable?
right. The definition.
And what is, I guess, better than that, what's not acceptable.
Right,
So,
right. Because I guess if you could
so
say you're for something without saying you're against something, you can also just
right.
say you like something without saying
And
you don't like something.
and do we really want to say, oh, you know, that's not acceptable to be turned on by that?
Right. Like that to be something that
So,
gets you aroused.
right. So, yeah, I mean, it's a complex situation or
Yeah.
complex question, but it's also, you know, and I totally support that we are now in a time when um, people can create their own and be themselves.
Yeah. And feels,
So I feel like the focus now, which I actually think is good, is for people to live their true identity,
yeah.
non-binary, whatever identity, whatever gender they want to be, and that we are in a moment where uh, um, the trans it's like trans Stonewall right now.
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh,
a Stonewall
100%.
time for the trans community.
Yeah.
And
100%. Yeah.
I think when you're talking about different genders and different identities, um, that you still have to allow for masculinity.
Yeah. That's so funny because it's just such a discussion that's happening now, and especially with the pushback that we're getting with like the administration and like the rights being taken away. And just, I don't know, it was just a random thought that came up because I was going to say about the book A Company of Men. I was like, I love the masculine men in the book, but like there was something in my head that was like, can I say that anymore? Like, because I have friends with many trans men that are butch as fuck, like way butcher than I am. So it's like not even a matter of just like sexuality or something. It's just the presentation of oneself and being
Right.
able to do it and feel safe about it. But I do like how you said this is sort of like a trans Stonewall right now.
Yeah. But I also think with that, the message is that everybody should be allowed to be themselves.
Right, 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 right.
And if being masculine without being taken away uh, or hurting anyone else, then you should be allowed to be that as
Yeah,
much as you should allowed to be non-binary or
right.
identify your gender however you want to identify it.
Yeah. Whew, that was a tangent. Back to photography. um, so with the book Construction Nudes, like I feel like I've seen it getting like some amazing press, and I got to see the blown up photographs in Palm Springs. Are you planning any more exhibitions or shows with the photographs from the book?
Not right now. I'm hoping
Okay,
to, but I don't have anything scheduled.
okay. I was just curious if like you had like a world tour planned, like rock and roll or private jets.
I have some important news that I'm hoping to announce, but I
Okay,
can't announce it till it really happens
okay.
regarding the book.
All right,
So
that's awesome.
that's just a little
Tease.
tease,
A
yeah.
little dick tease. God damn you, Blake.
So
Um, one other question I was going to ask. This is: have you ever yourself, Blake, handsome dude, been in front of the camera, whether it was like in the '80s or '90s or 2000s? Have either
yeah,
from
in fact,
self-portrait or photographed by other photographers?
yeah. It's funny that you brought up that question because I was on
Dude,
your
because you're a
list.
stud. We want to see
That's
you
the
naked.
question.
Whoa! Okay.
That's me. I'm a stud. Um,
Stud Muffin Blake.
yeah, actually, when I moved to LA, I had a friend who was a photographer. Um, he was a fine art, I guess you call him a fine art photographer, um, named Craig Cowan, and he he passed away unfortunately from AIDS around uh, 97, 96. But he photographed me in his uh, some nudes in his, well, actually those were portraits, I think, in his home studio. And then one time we went to Death Valley and
Okay.
we photographed each other nude.
Okay.
So I have, and then he made platinum prints. I don't know if you know what platinum prints are, but most black and white prints are silver gelatin.
Okay.
Platinum prints are made with the metal platinum, and they are super. They last forever. They're like super archival,
Oh,
and you
gotcha.
make them with a uh, we actually use the light from the sun to make these prints. But
Oh,
anyway,
very cool.
so
Okay,
I
so you
have
have
these
been in front of the camera.
platinum prints of myself naked in Death Valley.
I'm only
From
laughing because
from
I know sometimes the internet, then the internet's like, I'm gonna find these pictures. I just imagine you like in a garage in the '80s, like standing in front of a motorcycle with like the garage door open, naked, just standing there. That's the visual that I just got.
I have some
Whoa.
pictures of me on a motorcycle, but
Oh, that's funny.
I don't I don't think I was naked. But anyway,
You know what series I want you to do? Men of Home Depot. I have spent a lot of time in Home Depot for the last like couple years since I've been in San Diego just doing fun house projects. And I swear to God, Home Depot, this is going to be me being me, makes me so horny. Home
oh
Depot,
yeah,
the men there, the project, the smell of lumber. And like it's just very exciting place for me, Home Depot.
yeah.
So I really want you to do a series, The Men of Home Depot.
Well,
Just saying.
it's it's a highly charged male environment.
Right. I'm
Uh,
pretty much so basic in that category, you know, but like,
that's what I'll say about Home Depot.
okay, got it. Oh no, do
Yeah.
they support Donald Trump?
Oh, I have no idea
Oh
about
no,
Home
I
Depot.
thought maybe like, oh shit, because nowadays you never know, like some beloved company or store, like you've been to your whole life, like, oh, someone's like, do you know that they just gave $1 million towards? And I was like,
I'm sure you can Google it.
yeah, all right, that was my pitch. That was my Home Depot pitch, and I'm not
Yeah,
sponsored by Home Depot, but
I understand.
um, all right, we should wrap it up soon.
Okay.
But I have also a question about Palm Springs. I know so many people just flocking to Palm Springs. Um, and I just curious, like, why you love Palm Springs, like what brought you to Palm Springs, and what's the deal? Why do so many gay men love Palm Springs?
Uh,
You're the spokesman for all the gays right
I don't
now.
think I'm the spokesman for Palm Springs, but uh, and I still have my place in LA.
Oh, you do? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm still connected to Los Angeles. I love
Okay.
LA. But
I'm just always
I fell in love actually with the desert.
the desert. Yeah.
And um, you know that you were asking me about the different projects that I do, and I'm always inspired, or the projects sort of come from where I'm at, where I'm living, the environment that I'm in,
Yeah.
um, the state of what's going on in the world, uh, the LGBTQ plus my community. Those are the things that influence me,
Got
and
it.
so being coming to Palm Springs, um, it's the physical closeness to the desert, and it's actually not even the desert really; it's the mountains.
Yeah, I was corrected. Actually, when I was in Palm Springs recently, I kept referring to like different places, and people would say, "Oh no, that's the hot desert," or no, not Palm Springs. And so, I guess I didn't know geographically how things were divided, but I was corrected when I was there about what's Palm Springs, what's high desert, what's low desert.
Yeah, but we're so close to the mountain, so close to nature, and um, so that's that started me making the landscape photo series that I
Hmm.
did, that I'm still doing. And then it's also provided backgrounds and environments for portraits and also for my nude photography.
Yeah, the cactuses of like Joshua Tree in the desert are so beautiful. I just think there's something so magnificent about, I don't know,
Oh, yeah.
just the landscape out there. It's definitely like an alien planet.
And the rocks and everything.
Yeah. Do you
But
have
I
a pool?
also, yeah,
Do you have a pool at your house? I feel like you have to have a pool
I have a
in Palm
pool.
Springs.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have a pool.
Okay.
But I'm also inspired just by the unusual part of the desert.
Mm-hmm.
The really, again, going back to I really like to find the interesting thing about like the common, like just finding locations and places to photograph that that most people wouldn't consider.
Right. Like thousands of people daily drive past.
It could be just a, a place where there's uh, just a sand dune
Yeah.
or something, super simple, but there's something about it, and the light, and also the light here is so amazing.
Right.
So that's another.
Well, it takes sort of like the artistic eye to see things like that too. Like I've always sort of had see art and like really boring, mundane daily things. There's like on my walk to my car, there's this brick wall down here, and there's this one area that's always growing these beautiful purple flowers out of like this like brick wall. And for some reason, like it's one of my favorite things. I see. It just like how does it exist? It's such rough conditions, like the desert. It's such rough, harsh conditions, but then things blossom and bloom and thrive. Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah,
beautiful. That's
all
beautiful,
those
man.
all those simple things in life.
Yes. So okay, where can people follow you, keep up with you, um, to hear your breaking news, and what's like the best place for like
Um,
social media?
Blake Little at Blake Little photo on Instagram.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Blake.
Do you run your own Instagram or do you have like a little cute twink like intern running around doing all your
No,
socials for you?
I do it myself.
Ugh, I wanted you to have like this little twink. I don't
And
know.
then people, yeah, and then people can go to my website and see, but I don't update that often.
Yeah.
But it has all my photo series, so they can see the depth and the different projects that I work on. I'm
Yeah,
working
it's
on.
different like when you actually hold a book. I like like supporting and buying books still because I just like to feel them and flip through them. I don't know if that just makes me old.
Oh
Um,
no,
I like to
it's
smell them.
not at all.
And especially like I said about this cover.
Yeah,
I just really like it. Although I can't put it on my coffee table because my cats sit on it and then they try to scratch it, and I will not let them do that to this fine piece of artwork.
yeah, yeah. The one thing about the very crafted, fine crafted book is you have to be a little more careful.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You can't be. It's not really good to look at it while you're eating dinner. So,
No, absolutely. Or just set it on your coffee table because it's a cat magnet.
right, right.
So Blake, is there anything else you'd like to share to the world?
I think we covered it.
You know what? I promised to stay laser focused on the book, and I don't know. I hope I accomplished that in ways.
Oh yeah, I think we did it.
Like this might be the last time we ever talk because you're gonna like hang up and be like, "That dude's fucking
N-
crazy," and I'll accept
No,
that. I'll accept that.
not at all. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Tell your husband I say hi. He's always so freaking kind. He's like, that's the first word that comes to my mind about your husband.
Bob is the sweetest man in the world.
Yes, when I saw him at your show, he just was so like, I just felt like he was this big open hug without actually giving a hug. He was so like supportive and friendly, and I don't know.
Bob is Bob. Everybody loves Bob, and Bob's like, you know,
Do people like Bob more than you?
yes,
You're so I what I love about you is
definitely.
you're pretty reserved. I feel like you're very reserved and meticulated with your words, and I'm sort of like a diarrhea of like blah, blah, blah. And I feel like you yourself, this is just a crazy observation, are sort of like very particular about your words, which is something I long to be more like.
Well, yeah, it's the way it is.
It's the way it is, man.
What can I say?
All right, well, we will be in touch.
All right, great.
And I can't wait to talk to you more and come visit again at Palm Springs. And I'll be waiting to hear about an announcement. Um,
Yeah, come out and visit again, but
oh yeah, I'm gonna
not for
come
a
over
couple.
and I'm gonna come swim in your pool.
Yeah, but not for a couple. Well, you can come out now, but probably better to wait for a couple months.
Wait, what's the best time to visit Palm Springs? Is it too hot right now? Is that why?
Yeah, it's too hot.
Okay.
Unless you really like the heat.
Yeah. If there's a pool and
No,
lemonade available.
yeah, but I would say, and November to May.
All right. Well, I'll invite myself over to your house then.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, talk to you later.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.